You're listening to IELTS and OET exam coaching with Kev, the English native, helping you get the scores you need in high-stakes English exams.
Hello, it's Kevin here. Time for another episode of Kev's English podcast with IELTS, OET, exam coaching. With me, English native, Kev Dean, etc. Now, it's been a couple of weeks since I made an episode. Busy as always with my many students on italki. So the episode before that, I was explaining what the new season is or how we're going to proceed with the podcast in the future. I was going to do some general English stuff like some other podcasters, but I've got nothing to say. I've got, very difficult thinking of topics. So I thought, maybe I should stick with what I do know quite a lot about. IELTS, OET, TOEFL, Pearson, all the different examinations, because that's what I get many students for on italki. So now, I'm making pods in response to my students and their particular issues and complaints. So recently I've had lots of medical students, lots of doctors wanting to take the OET test. Okay, occupational English test, because they want to go and work in America or the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, etc. Okay. So in order to do so, they have to pass the relative medical exams. The US MLE for America. I don't know what they call it for the Australian one or UK one, but they have to take some, medical test. And the English part. Now, some problems that a few of them have been having recently. Listening, that's what I want to talk about. In particular, listening part A. So, if you don't know, the listening part for the OET, 3 parts, ABC. So, listening part A, it simulates a healthcare consultation where the health professional could be you talking to a patient. So, what's the format first of all? So, you've got 2 audio recordings for you to listen to. You have a doctor, nurse, veterinarian, etc. You are listening to. That's a speaking role play. So anyway, as I was saying, you've got 2 recordings, right? Healthcare professional and patient, 45 minutes each, 12 questions per extract. And your task is note completion. Okay? So you have to complete the notes with a word or a short phrase that you hear in the audio. So, skills. So, in the workplace, you often need to gather information from your patients. So, you need to do this actively and take notes accordingly. So, what's the problem? Well, as I found out recently with my various students, so what I advise them to do is do the test, check the answers, then read the script. So we were checking the script over from OET medicine test number 1. You can find on OET.com. And I found the problem, and I'd seen this with other students, was that the doctor's voice is always good vocabulary, language, etc. It was the patient. They were using idioms, phrasal verbs, fixed lexical expressions. And when I questioned this particular doctor yesterday, he didn't know what nearly all of them meant. So, as I was explaining, it's not the medical language that the doctors and nurses are failing on. They understand those. It's the other words, it's the linking words, it's the different lexis, it's the phrasal verbs, the colloquialisms, the idioms. They don't understand those. That's how they can miss what the answer is. Now, to resolve this, in conjunction with my artificial friends, which you which you may have seen or heard about on my podcast for OET, Roleplay Speaking, on this one, and on my YouTube channel, links below. I use my individual friends to make materials for listening, reading, writing, speaking, etc. So what I did, I dropped the 5 official tests from OET.com into my chatbot, into my own AI, and I got it to make me a list of idioms and phrasal verbs to be found with definitions and explanations. And I made a rather useful little phrasebook based on that. If you want it, the download link will be below on my learning management system in Notion. Now, there's some tips. You can go to oet.com. They'll tell you use the headings, prediction. Now, one of the key strategies, I'll just briefly talk about this, which I was talking about with this doctor yesterday, is prediction, anticipation. So everything's in order, in sequence, all right? Not with the same words, in paraphrase. The questions come in order. So what you need to do is predict or anticipate first what kind of word. Are you expecting to hear a noun? Are you expecting to hear an adjective? Are you expecting to hear an adverb, etc.? That's what that's what you're anticipating for. Like, for example, it'll say like patient's description of symptoms, pain located in, so it'll be a noun, a body part. Pain described as, it'll be an adjective or an adverb and a noun, like intense, extremely painful, etc. So you can predict what language you should be listening for. Because if you don't do the anticipation and prediction, the audio, it washes over you. And it's very difficult for you to try and pick answers out afterwards. Right? So you need to be actively listening. You need something to listen for. What kind of a word, etc. Now, preparation recommendations. Now, again, I say this to all my students every time. So the first thing is, get your ears tuned in to the different sounds, different accents. You'll hear a variety of accents: UK, USA, Australia, New Zealand, different regional accents in the UK, English, Scottish, Irish, Welsh. So you need to be listening to those. Now, there's medical podcasts, Inside Health, UK, The Second Opinion, America, Health Report, Australia. They're good. You can also go to the BBC, listen to BBC Radio 4, BBC Learning English, many good episodes, podcasts and transcripts there. You can have a listen to those to get some accents. There's different TV shows. Grey's Anatomy, Embarrassing Bodies, GPs Behind Closed Doors. There's quite a few. I mean, if you want some older ones, there's ER, which I used to watch when I first started in the 90s, a long time ago, but still available on the internet. So, accents, vocabulary, etc. Now, and this is where the next tip is where my knowledge of everyday language book, it comes in. So OET says, increase your knowledge of everyday language. Don't just focus on the medical stuff. So idioms, phrasal verbs, everyday expressions. Keep a record, practice. Like I say, I made a book, well, a little booklet, I should say. From the 5 official tests, I got it to pick out every idiom, phrasal verb, expression with an explanation and sample sentences. So that's what you need to use. Now, the next thing, practice test, right? Make use of the script. So, as I keep saying, don't just do the test, check the answers and stop. You need to get the transcript out, play the audio a second time, play it a third time, read it. Any new words or phrases, if you're not 100% sure, write it down, use your dictionary, use chat, use a thesaurus, whatever. Anything that you're not 100% sure of, use the internet and find out so you know exactly what it means. Okay, so this is a short episode for today. What have we got? 10 minutes. Yeah, that'll do. I've got to go anyway. I've got students coming on iTalki. It's Christmas Day, but I am busy as always because I've got students in countries that don't have time off at Christmas, and I don't do a great deal anyway on Christmas Day. So, hope that helps. So, check out the link wherever. It'll be below if you're listening on Spotify, or if you see the episode on my podcast site, theenglishnative.com. There'll be a link somewhere to my learning management where you can download that book, that PDF booklet of idioms and phrasal verbs. You can find your own. There's quite a lot on the internet, but I just took those first 5 official tests, extracted them out of those. Okay, and of course, you know, if you go on YouTube, I'm sure there'll be many episodes there where people have all this kind of stuff, yeah? Anyway, so hope that helps. If you want to practice your speaking, don't forget to check out my other podcast on Spotify, OET Speaking Role Plays. Oh, that noise. I've got 10 minutes for my next class. Have to get a move on. So check out the OET role play. I won't tell you about that here. It explains, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's videos, there's episodes, there's links that tell you everything that you need to do to use AI for writing and speaking, etc. That's something else. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. And there'll be another episode, hopefully this week. I get time to do some recording. Anyway, I hope that helps. Bye for now.
That was IELTS and OET exam coaching with the English Native. Kev Dean. Find out more at theenglishnative.com.